Hello, and welcome to 5 Ways to Keep Your Creative Mojo. I have been an instructor for 5 years now, and I know when I first started, I actually started in dance fitness. Super excited because I loved fitness, I loved dance. Putting those two things together was the most amazing thing for me that could happen. And when I first started, I had all this creativity. I had so much to learn that I had more ideas than classes to teach. And I was so excited, and I had all these new things. And every week I had new things I was introducing. And then after a while, you get to a point where it's like, okay, I've been doing this. This is the type of instructor that I am. This is my style. And then you get to a point where you notice patterns in your choreography. You notice patterns in the type of exercises that you have your class doing, and you don't want them to get bored and get used to you. Even though you're always going to have your unique style, you don't want it to get to a point where it's predictable. And so I actually got to a point where I was scared that I my class was starting to get too comfortable with me and my style and what I was doing. And so what we're actually going to go over today is ways that will always continuously help you with that creativity so that you're not stuck as well wondering, how do I keep my class fresh and creative and keep everybody's energy up without having to completely change things around, one, or having things that are too similar to how they have been. So the very, very first thing that you can do, which is the most obvious, is taking another class, but specifically taking another class that's like yours. So if you are teaching a dance fitness class, taking a dance fitness class that's very similar to what you are doing. If you are taking a if you are teaching a Zumba class, finding another Latin style type of class that you can take that's similar to that. If you're teaching a hip hop class, taking another hip hop class, things like that, so that you can just kind of get familiar more with being a student again and learning from them, where you're not necessarily thinking about what you're doing and teaching a class. And not saying that you're taking their whole routine, but there's certain things that you can learn from that. So definitely taking a class that's like yours, because you can then quickly relate it to what you are doing and put your own style on it and add it into your routine. The second thing that you can do is actually the complete opposite as well. It works. Taking a class not like yours. So if you are a group instructor, you teach a circuit style type of class, and you want to take some other type of class that maybe doesn't even involve weights at all, or it does, but it's more like a power, what is it? Pump. Goodness gracious. Power pump. And you just want to get familiar with that type of style and see what they have to offer. That's great as well. I wouldn't say do one over the other. I think doing both is a really great idea. Taking classes that are like yours that you can then quickly transfer over, as well as taking classes that are not like yours, because there's certain things that you wouldn't get out of classes that were like yours that you can still translate over. Anytime you're taking other classes, no matter what it is, you're always learning. So even if are you have a body pump class and you take a yoga class, completely way different. But some of the things that are in the stretching for the yoga, you might be able to incorporate in your cool down or in your warm up, things like that, so that you can say, okay, I know where I can use something that I learned there and put that here. So going to classes, like I said, that are like yours, and being able to get information, going to classes that are not yours, just going to classes in general. A lot of times we get caught up in teaching our own classes, and especially if we teach a lot of classes a week, we don't give a lot of time to go to classes ourselves and actually be a student. I mean, we might work out a little bit, but we put a lot of time and energy into our own classes. So being able to get to somebody else's class is not only fun and relaxing because it's not you having to teach, not that teaching isn't fun, but it's just different. But you're also learning as well. And as you guys know, that's a huge, huge part of pretty much everything. That's like the foundation of everything that we do, of all success. Two things I'd say: foundation is always learning and helping others. Key to success. Number three, which is something that I actually learned from Sean T. he came to the Philadelphia area, and I had the opportunity to be able to talk to him, and I asked a few questions. And one of the questions I asked him was, how does he motivate himself and what creative ideas, and where does he find them at? And he said to watch people. It's as simple as that. Watch people. Go outside, sit down, watch how people walk, watch how people do things, just watching people in general. Great for choreography. If you don't believe me, go out and try it. And I mean, it's even great for your group classes. Again, if you have certain things like the way people bend down and pick something up, the way they're doing something, different movements will be able to help in your classes as well. So just watching people with their movements, different things that they do, will be able to give you ideas on what you can add to your classes. I know that was a few years ago. That was maybe about 4 years ago. I know I had been an instructor for a couple of years at that point, and I really started to feel as though I was getting comfortable in my classroom, and I didn't want, like I said, I never want my class to be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a great class, but there's really nothing new happening, and it's the same things. Never ever want that to happen. So I actually went out and I watched people, and it was great because a lot of times, which I didn't even know was a thing, people go out and people watch anyway. And I didn't even know people watching was a thing. So when I went out, I actually had a people watching purpose. And that actually helped a lot because at that time I was teaching both group classes and dance fitness classes as well. And they actually helped in both with creating routines and exercises and choreography for my classes. So I would definitely just say, and you can just go out if there's a park near you, especially if there is, or if you're just there's somewhere where you can sit outside where there's people. Obviously, outside your house might be a little bit different if you don't have a busy street and you're just sitting there. Might not be as useful because you'll just literally see people walking by. But if you're in an area that's heavily populated, like a mall, maybe if you're like inside of the mall, or like I said, a park, those are like really good places that you actually would be able to actually sit down and watch people and see what they do. Number four, which is something I think that we don't utilize much, and that is creating variations. So instead of thinking that every time you teach a class and you have to change everything completely, that can be really difficult for us to remember because a lot of times when it's the first class and you're changing something or you're adding something, you might forget things. And if you're adding new choreo, you might forget something that's happening in there. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is the first time and I'm forgetting this. And so I'm not saying not to create new things. You should always be creating new things. But what I'm saying is that you can create something new out of a variation of something that you've already been doing. So perfect example, let's say in your class, you do kettlebell swings. And with the kettlebell swings, it's a motion. I'm sitting down, so you can't see as much, but I'm swinging it. Swing, swing, swing. I'm squatting and swinging the kettlebell. What you can do as well, if you want to do a different type of variation, instead of swinging with the kettlebell, you can now do kettlebell squats. Because with that swinging action, you're still engaging lower body, but now you're actually doing squats where your arms are holding the kettlebell, but you're now concentrating more on the actual squat. So you're using what you have and then doing a different variation of it so that it's different. It feels different. It's a little bit exciting because it's like, okay, I thought I knew what was happening, but now it's not. Something new is going on, which is great for the class. You keep them engaged, you keep them guessing, and it's not necessarily something where you went from one thing to something completely different and then had to remember that. Like I said, sometimes it's great to add in something completely different, but you don't have to do it for every single class all of the time because adding new exercises, adding new choreography, those things take a lot of time and energy. So definitely make sure that you use all of your resources before transitioning into something completely way different. Like I said, you can throw it in, you can sprinkle it in a little bit, but use variations. There can be variations of everything that you do. There could be a move where you might progressively be moving forward, where it's back and forth, and you change that up. So now you're going side to side instead. Those little movements, believe it or not, makes a difference where, again, your student is so used to this forward that now that they're going side to side, it can be the exact same move, but now they're like, wait, we're doing something different. What's going on? Oh, I like this. Okay. So just adding in those little differences and you build them makes a huge difference in your classes. And the last, which is absolutely not the least, is asking your class. A lot of times there will be people that'll ask you without you even having to ask them, hey, I saw this, can we do something that includes this? Or I saw something with this weight, can we do this? I saw something, some dance move, I saw this choreography, I heard this song, can you play this, can you add this? They are the best people to get inspiration and creativity from, because they are already taking your class, they already enjoy your class, they love your class, and they'll be able to provide you with information that you can then take and then create something from there. So you don't even have to spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out other ways to even get ideas. So ask the people in your class. And like I said, don't wait for them to actually come up to you, because there will be some that will, but there's some that aren't. And they'll have really great ideas. It's just that you haven't asked them for it. And so they haven't provided you with that information yet. So one thing that I liked doing was I would do surveys, anonymous, where I'd ask them, and which you should do periodically, which isn't part of the creativity, but it's a really good idea to have surveys where you ask them how they feel about the class, what they'd like to add, like what they like to see more of, things like that. If you do something like that, a written survey, which is even better for an anonymous survey, you walk out the room, have them do it, because then they'll be even more honest with you. You'll get some feedback actually about your class as well. So that's actually a really great thing. You don't have to do the survey. Of course, you can always just ask them if there's something that they want to see more of, if there's something that they maybe saw and they want to learn more about. Definitely interacting with them helps them, because it makes them feel, it gives them more of what they want, and it makes them feel like their opinion matters. And it helps you, because you can then take exactly what they want. Because more than likely, if there's one person in the class that is interested in something, more than likely there's somebody else. If you ask in a group, they'll feed off of each other and give you even more information about what you can add to your class, and then that makes it even better. So you never should be in a place where you're completely stuck creative wise, and you're like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to add to my class, I don't know, I'm going to just continue to do the same routine that I've been doing, the same exercises for the next month, and hope for the best. That is absolutely a sure way to lose students, especially the students that you have that come faithfully every week. Every time you have class, they're there. They have a certain comfort with knowing what's going on, but only for a short period of time. So they like knowing what's happening, because they feel like, okay, I got this, I understand it now. But that's why you need to slowly pull some of the stuff that they're familiar with out and add in a little bit that they're not familiar with. So out of the class, if it is 60 minutes, you should then pull out, depending if it's an exercise, pull out about 2, 3 that they're not familiar with, and add in something else if it's more of a class that has the same structure and the same workouts, which is usually a little bit different, because with classes that have more of a choreo, like dance fitness, it's usually the same class every week. 1 or 2 songs are pulled out, and a few songs are put in every few weeks. So you might do the same exact thing for 3 weeks before pulling out a song or two. In my group fitness classes, what I would do is I kind of did the opposite, where most of the class was new, with a few of them that they were already familiar with, because it's a little bit different. So just, play around with it and see. And you can read people. If you're teaching your class and you see people look bored, then you know that they are bored and you need to switch things up ASAP. So I hope that you guys got some really useful information out of this. Definitely make sure that you include this in your classes. Like I said, super great ways to always be able to creatively think of new things to add to your class. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day.